Analyzing a property that you may want to keep as a rental. In New Jersey, it's very tough, particularly single-family houses. But the first thing I would suggest, make sure the house you're looking at is legally what is being sold to you. For instance, never buy a house that is a two-family, but it has an illegal apartment. You are setting yourself up for a lot of problems, and you only pay for what is legal and allowed on that property. Now again, you have to factor in, do another not operating income statement where you take your gross rent and then you would back out your expenses on it, the same as when you're buying a property to rehab and flip. In other words, you want to know what your costs will be: management fees, utilities, insurance, taxes. And then once you figure out all your expenses, you're going to be left with what we call your net income. Once you take that net income, you factor in, okay, what will my financing cost be, which is your mortgage? At today's rate, whatever that is, do your number there. And then that will tell you at the end what money you have left over. One of the things I should mention, which a lot of people forget to do on rentals, particularly multifamily, is factor in a management fee. Even if you're managing it yourself, that is work. You're entitled to have a management fee. Plus, you want to have some other positive cash flow. Again, these are general guidelines, but if you set the parameters and do proper form, you're much less likely to make a mistake. Okay, to find a good rent comp, one of the simplest ways is it's gotten harder because a lot of local newspapers don't have for rent anymore, but you could go online, look there. I wouldn't really suggest Zillow in those because they just give abstract numbers that are all over the place. Call on ads though, online or in the paper, if you find them in the paper, for similar properties. I would say it's a two-family in a certain town and it's a 2-bedroom, 1-bath. Find out what the local landlords are getting. Another great way is to talk to and make friends with a local real estate agent, particularly in this instance, one who specializes in rentals, because they can give you a wealth of information so you can learn what the market value of the rent in that area is. And very important, when you figure out that rent, make sure it's an honest number. Don't necessarily go by somebody who says, well, they're getting $1,500, and then find out that $1,500 is not the right number because somebody's moving out every year or even earlier, because you're actually going to net a lot less. You want to, what I always say is, what is the rent in this area for a property to stay rented, where the people feel they're getting a good deal and are not looking to move? In the long run, that will make you more money. You could try posing as a renter. It can happen. I'm pretty well known in the areas I do, so I'll usually have somebody else call if I'm curious. But again, another way is, again, if you're in the MLS, you look up properties for rent in that area and see what the availability is and what things are renting for. And it also gives you an idea of the health of the rental market. If there's not many rentals in an area that's well populated, you then know that that would be in demand. Okay, well, just a history. If you go in the MLS, you could look up a property history in many MLS systems. And again, it's kind of hit or miss. You play detective. But if you have a nice property that's in a good area, and the other important thing is screening for your tenants. The most important thing when you're looking at an investment property to determine whether or not it would be a good deal, you're satisfied with the neighborhood, you want to know the after repair market value. That is your most important number because that's your starting point. And that's where many investors make their mistake. For instance, let's say you have a house that after repairs would be worth $300,000 and would sell reasonably quickly. Now, let's assume you have a $50,000 rehab cost. So we go from 300 minus 50 equals 250. You also are going to have $10,000 in soft costs, which might be your insurance payments, your taxes, any kind of accounting fees, utilities, etc. So now we're at 60,000 plus another, let's say 10,000 once you sell the property through your realtor. So now that would be 70,000. So 300 minus 70 brings us to 230. Now, what's missing is what the profit you're looking to make is. Let's assume in this particular deal, you were looking to make a $30,000 profit. So we have our 70,000 plus our 30,000 profit, which equals $100,000. So a $300,000 property that we take off the 100,000, so So you should be not willing to pay any more than $200,000. It's so important, especially for beginners, to have their numbers and not make them up as you go along. Sit down, create what we call a net operating income statement, and that will save you from making a mistake. Soft costs. Soft costs are basically things, again, like taxes, insurance, anything that's incidental, not part of the direct rehab. For instance, your hard costs would be things like your lumber, materials, vanities, bathrooms, kitchen cabinets, flooring, new windows, new roofing, siding, etc. Again, your soft costs would be more of the accounting, taxes, and insurance. Okay, every sale is different. What I would advise is if you are interested in doing sheriff sale, remember what I said. Number one, make sure you have a lot of capital cash available, because you're going to have to go there and put down at least 20% in most cases. And you need to have a number in mind beforehand, what you're willing to pay, which brings us again back to knowing your after repair value. Because now you're going to have to play a little bit of a detective and make estimates on what you think your rehab, etc. will be. So you need to have a good idea of what rehab cost in the area would be. I want to thank you guys for watching. We hope you've learned something, and if you want to learn more, you can visit us on our website at www.mreia.com. And if you're in the New Jersey area, you can attend one of our monthly real estate meetups where we get more in depth about the topics you need to become a successful investor. If you have any questions about what we discussed in this video, please leave a comment below and subscribe so you can stay up to date on the latest MREIA videos. Thank you.